Um, so today I took longs. Um, the reason being was I talked about this last week, but we had these like big these like bearish candles in here were all really good shorts, but we had broken structure. We had a market structure shift to the downside, so I was not necessarily surprised by that. But what happened was we took out this relative equal sell side liquidity, and then we started retracing, at least what I thought was a retrace, and then it turned into a market structure shift. So we had these moves up, and I tried trading, and I lost money on these days just because there was a retrace and a bearish trend. But in fact, I think we were reversing, and I talked about this, but this previous day high, if we had this, um, if we had this get swept, I was saying that we'd be bullish from that point on. And so with that getting swept in pre-market, which was this right here, this previous day high gets swept in pre-market, I had a pretty strong bias that we'd be bullish. And then on the daily, this is a daily order block, which I marked out, which then matches up on the 4 hour too. So that's what that was like I really only marked out one high time frame level before I started trading. I marked this sweep of this liquidity during like right at open as turtle soup, and then um let's see. Yeah, I marked this sweep of this low as turtle soup on a high time frame because I was expecting this to react off of it, which then we did. And so I was watching on the 15 second, and this is our daily order block, which it also happened to dip into regular trading hours opening range open. And if we turn on our quarter levels right there, we perfectly hit that quarter level and responded really well off of. So I was watching all of this morning, and then right here we have uh this um we had an entry before that. I feel like I entered somewhere in here. I feel like there's something missing because I labeled this as a market structure shift because I think, I don't know. I want to see a close above this original high, and we must have gotten that at some point. But then I entered with significantly more positions once we extended above here, and then we dropped back down to this fair value gap, hitting this original order block, which is what I was interested in. I entered in some more contracts, and then I may have entered in more somewhere in here. But I just kept drawing out these order blocks. I like using order blocks for my take profits, but and my entries. I just like order blocks in general, but we were moving back into this first presented fair value gap and we respected it really well. We moved up, closed above it, moved back down to the low, making this what I would call a balanced price range. We then moved up, closed above it, returned down to CE, and then we extended up. We made this 1 minute fair value gap in here. If you look on the 1 minute, um, I was comfortable. There it is. This is the 1 minute fair value gap, and see how there's a high here and a high here. That trace up, and then we come back down. We close up here. We come down here to retrace, then we move up. I consider this a balanced price range at that point. I then moved my stops really close in here. I pretty much had them at the bottom of this fair value gap right in here because I was like, I consider that a balanced price range. And if we move back down through there, that means we're reversing. And so we came up and we respected it and we took out this high, which I had like, I think I had three contracts open and I took one out here and I took the rest of my position out here at this buy side liquidity, which was from overnight hours. So that was my trade this morning. It was just this move right here. That was pretty much most of my reasoning. I don't think I missed anything. Um, but and then New York AM session had this really big, strong down move. And I was looking at it to see if that would have been a decent trade. I wouldn't have taken shorts just because I was bullish on the day, but this probably would have been the ideal entry. There was this big wick with a market structure shift, followed by entry into a suspension block, which would have been a really solid entry. I don't know where I would have taken it though. Looks like it respected this fair value gap again, but um, Yeah, I don't really know where I'd take that. Not really a trade I would take. But the afternoon session did have something that I would have taken. Um, we like an hour before PM session, I would have traded PM session, but I was eating lunch and didn't really feel like looking at my phone after I did well in the morning, so there was no reason to look at my phone. But we took out these London lows and we had a really strong reaction off of it. And then we came down for what looks like a retrace. So I was looking for what we could be retracing to, and we had just filled the entire regular trading hours opening range gap. So I didn't really expect us to go all the way down to this low after we had already taken that out and filled that range. So what I was most interested in was we could hit this daily order block again if we want to respect it again, because we've respected it continuously over the day besides this, which we swept liquidity, and now I expected we would move up and take out highs, and that's exactly what we did. So um my entry that I was looking at was right in here. I didn't mark it out, but I was looking at this while I was like waiting in line to get lunch, and we had made this high, which gives us a market structure shift. Then we get a retrace perfectly down to this daily order block, like in the most perfect way possible. The other way you could have looked at it is we have consequent encroachment right here, and then um, you could try and find anything just under consequent encroachment. So we have this low, we have this rejection wick. And then you could come down here if you wanted to, if you really wanted to see it retrace that low. But that's what I would have been most interested in was probably, because consequent encroachment was right in here. There's just a low right here that I would have taken, or this rejection wick right in here would have been good, which got filled pretty easily right there. Um, yeah, those were probably the biggest things I was looking for. Um, yeah, and then I would have taken that too. I would have wanted to see this go higher, but I probably would have looked for exits here and here, and then I would have wanted to see price move up to these relative equal highs and then this up here, but obviously we did not hit that, and now in after hours we have fallen quite considerably. So with this really deep market structure shift on the 1 hour, I don't know if that's a market structure shift on it's a market structure shift on the 4 hour too. This daily could just be a retrace into the body of this order block rather than just the wick. But I'm kind of skeptical as of tomorrow. I don't really know how I feel. I think we had ISM this morning, and I think we have really relatively straightforward, non-high impact news tomorrow. So I don't know. I'll be skeptical for tomorrow. I guess I won't be skeptical. I will be more risk off just because I don't really know how I feel about trading tomorrow. I don't really have a clear bias, and I've figured that the best trades over the past like couple weeks have been ones where there's a really clearly defined high time frame bias, and this, like specifically in the case of these shorts over the past like week or two have been really nice, and so um, I'd really like to see uh, those those kinds of trends continues into this week, but I don't know. I guess it depends on how we treat this low in here and maybe this low in overnight hours. One thing that I'd be looking at is ICT's talked about this, but when we develop a high time frame trend, which we've determined is bearish here, will move up, and this is our relative equal buy side liquidity that I want to see us sweep if we're going to be bullish, like for on a daily time frame and a longer scenario. So kind of what I'm looking at right now is if we can is this ICT talks about this, but this close above this liquidity, which happens to be a previous day high from a few days ago, is smart money's opportunity to enter in short positions um, uh, accumulating in the high time frame trend. So I guess one thing that we can look at real quick is I don't really like looking at the weekly, but yeah, this weekly is very bearish, and it just looks like if anything, um, we've just come up and we've retraced on, I mean, there's a bunch of wicks in here, and so it looks like we're just retracing, and we could be continuing down after this. So I'd be really careful for that. I want to see how it respects these previous day lows in here, this rejection wick in here, this previous day high, and this relative equal buy side liquidity is probably the levels that I'm looking at. I'll let you know where I'm at tomorrow, but my entries look like this. Um, let's see. Here. Uh, those are my entries. I had on the 15 second. It offsets me so much on the chart. Right there. Beautiful. Um, yeah, an entry right here, because I labeled this as a market structure shift. I had an entry down here as we moved back down to this daily order block. And then I had two more entries right in here, at pretty similar levels. Probably one right in here. Yeah, I think there's one right in here to the fair value gap, and then another one right here. Yeah, and then another one right here to the order block. And then, as I said, I took one out right here at this high, and then I took two out right here at this high. And so for the day, that puts me up, mm, oh, just short of $800. So pretty solid day for today. Yeah, and I'll be back tomorrow. There's the afternoon trade I was talking about. Yeah, don't really have a whole lot other than that. And then for anyone interested in the ICT Silver Bullet indicator that I made, I'll have a link for that uh in the description of this video. And then I'm thinking about also putting the first presented fair value gap in there, and then regular trading hours opening range gap. And that's something that I've been working on that you guys may be interested in at some point as we move on is this second derivative filter. I used it this morning just in terms of these trades up here. If you look right in here where I was, oopsies, where I was interested in entering for longs, um, we had been we had a bearish second derivative, and then right as we made these highs, we had a bullish second derivative, and then right after my entry, we continued that bullish second derivative. I need to figure out what time frame I want this on. I've had it on I think I don't have it showing time frame two. Yeah, I have it showing time frame one, which I have on the 5 minute. I don't really know if I want it on the 5 minute or if I want it on the 1 minute for a second derivative. But I like how it's yeah, see, this one's kind of off, but I like using second derivative just because it's the acceleration. Um, it's the acceleration determines like it's not where price direction is going, it's where the momentum, which is kind of behind direction, is leading price. Yeah, this was more what I was looking at. Right here our momentum turns positive, and I end up making my entry on this candle. And here our momentum ends up turning bearish, and that's exactly when we have this drop. I think it's really only relevant during the kill zone hours, but if you're like looking for an entry, like right around these hours, or like right this entry this morning, momentum would have turned bearish right beforehand and would be bearish right in our entry. So, um, I don't know. It's kind of similar to how I was using session volume profile, where it's like I don't use it to enter a trade, but it's helpful. But anyways, yeah, these indicators that I end up using a lot, I'll probably end up having all in the same place on WAP. And then if you guys want any specific indicators, let me know and I can make those and put them on WAP. But that'll be it for me today, and I'll probably be back tomorrow. So hope you all had a good one. I will see you all tomorrow. See you guys. Thanks for watching.